Welcome back. Jordanian warplanes have targeted and destroyed several vehicles trying to cross the border from Syria. A statement from the military says the camouflaged vehicles tried to enter from a rugged area. When warning shots were ignored, the fighter jets opened fire. Syrian state media cited the army as saying it was not linked to them. A Jordanian security source told the media that the vehicles were thought to have been driven by Syrian rebels. Spokesperson Mohammed al-Momani said the government was increasingly worried about cases of infiltration and reports that armed groups are close to the border and the absence of security there. The kingdom sees many hardline Islamists and jihadist rebels fighting in Syria as a domestic security threat and has boosted security along the 370-kilometer border to prevent them entering. And although it publicly denies supporting either side in the Syrian conflict, the Jordanian government is reported to have provided a staging ground for secular and moderate Islamist rebel factions and their foreign backers. In the meantime, Saudi Arabia's intelligence chief, Prince Bandar bin Sultan, has been removed from his post at his own request. Prince Bandar, King Abdullah's nephew and a former ambassador to the U.S., recently returned to Riyadh after 2 months abroad for medical treatment. The 65-year-old has been replaced by his deputy, General Youssef al-Idrisi. His departure comes months after he was quoted warning of a major shift from the U.S. over its Middle East policy. Largely in protest over Washington's reluctance to get involved militarily in Syria, he reportedly told European diplomats in October that Saudi Arabia would be scaling back its cooperation with the CIA over arming and training rebel groups seeking to topple President Bashar al-Assad. A trip to Moscow to press Russian President Vladimir Putin to abandon his support for the Syrian government also failed to produce results. Well, Palestinian and Israeli negotiators are set to meet today in an effort to extend peace talks beyond the April 29th deadline. The U.S. State Department says a range of issues will be discussed, but the parties remain highly engaged. Talks appeared on the verge of collapse earlier this month amid a series of disputes between the two sides. Peace negotiations were kicked off by U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry last July after a 3-year break. Talks hit a major crisis this month when both sides took what Washington called unhelpful steps. The Palestinians submitted applications to join 15 UN treaties and conventions, while Israel refused to release a fourth group of 26 long-term Palestinian prisoners and reissued tenders for more than 700 new homes at a Jewish settlement in occupied East Jerusalem. Well, Palestinian and Israeli negotiators are set to meet today in an effort to extend peace talks beyond the April 29th deadline. A U.S. State Department says a range of issues will be discussed, but the parties remain highly engaged. Talks appeared on the verge of collapse earlier this month amid a series of disputes between the two sides. Peace negotiations kicked off started by U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry last July after a 3-year break. And those talks hit a major crisis this month when both sides took what Washington called unhelpful steps.